Over a year ago at this point, I can't believe so much time has passed, I made a challenge. The airbrush challenge, which turned out really soft and dramatic and honestly kind of basic, which I then, fixed. But now, over a year later, I'm back with another one. If with the airbrush challenge I fixed it by adding textures, why not draw with textures only? Exactly. Today I'm gonna try out the texture only challenge. Hello, how are you? I have this very famous brush pack for Krita that comes with many brush bundles specifically so that you basically have an all-in-one. One of them being essential textures, and today I'll be drawing only using those. The plan is to make a normal illustration of mine, but using textures only. So, my line art, my base, my rendering, all of that, and try not to make it look muddy and lost. So, for this, I'll be drawing a character I used to draw a lot in 2023, which is 3 years ago. In fact, I spent the whole year developing her story alone, which is crazy to think of. I had a really big thing going on, and for her, I guess. I had a whole plan, and then I never went through with that, which, honestly, now looking back at it, I'm glad I didn't. But it's Little Miss Future. Now, I stopped drawing this character after I reread the story with an ex-friend of mine and realized how stale this character was. Not just this character, but I feel pretty much all of the characters in that story at that point were pretty basic and stale overall. So lately I've been reworking her and reworking the story in general and just trying to make it be what I wanted it to be, or pretty much making it what I would like nowadays, I guess. People mature, I guess. I don't know. Which lately, I mean for the past few months now, because I've been thinking on and off about this story for a while. But it really struck me after I got a specific idea. This character is supposed to dress in a gothic-inspired outfit in the early 2000s, and in a 70s-inspired outfit back in the 90s. Now, the idea that I got, what struck me, was the idea of making her wear a gothic-inspired outfit in the early 2000s, which pretty much consists of, blacks and reds, and in the 90s, a white gothic-inspired one, which would still keep some of those 70s elements to it, because I feel like that it's pretty... I don't know if I would say iconic, but it's what makes me recognize Little Miss Future in my characters. Because, I just love that contrast. I feel like it would fit perfectly for this. So, when I went out looking for some inspo of some, white goth outfits, I ended up falling down a rabbit hole on the Gothic and Lolita Bible magazine. If you know those magazines, I guess that you will understand just the hype that you feel seeing those and reading those, which I have to admit, I wasn't able to read most of what's written there because I don't speak Japanese. But looking at the pictures, ooh, what an amazing fashion magazine. Ooh! Now, I read a few of those. Can I really say I read them when I saw a few of those, okay? And I just love that. Guys, you don't understand how obsessed I got with these. It's an issue. I went down a rabbit hole and I can't get out. Oh. So as I looked through them, through the Internet Archive, I found a few dresses that almost remind me of the 70s belt sleeve dresses that I originally gave Miss Future. I just love that. I grew obsessed with it. I thought, this is exactly it. This is perfect. Since the magazine in itself already has both of those fashion styles, not the 70s one, that has nothing to do, but I mean the gothic one, and obviously it has a Lolita mix in there, but I like that. I think it's very pretty. What else do you expect me to say? So for this drawing specifically, I actually chose a few of the garments I found there for For Miss Future, I'll still end up mixing a bunch of the ideas that I find around to create something original for her. For Miss Future, in the story itself. But in this case, in this illustration, I found this dress, this little hat that I need in my life now. Guys, do you see that? It's a little bear. I need that. I could sew that. I need it so bad. Oh! Guys, I have issues. Ooh, look. Guys, look at that. I need it. Either way. And for the pose, I found this specific photo, right? That I feel like it's a great concept that says Kagami no kuni no naka no Alice. What does it mean? That's a great question. Something about Alice, right? Maybe it's something Alice in Wonderland inspired, maybe, because a few of the photo shoots had this sort of a magical theme in it. Putting it in translate gives me something along the lines of Alice in the Land of Mirrors, which would make sense with the hand mirror and all. So I guess it's something along those lines, I would imagine. But back to the concept. I did take the mirror, okay? But I did change the background. For my own illustration, I filled the background with bows, or at least sort of hung some bows around. If the dress had bows on the sleeves and the chest, and the bear hair accessory was filled with two bows, too, like there's one big bow behind the bear, and the bear has one as like a bow tie. Of course, the theme had to be about bows, so I might as well just put them around, so I sort of hung them in a way that makes the thing almost seem eerie, because at first, I have to admit that I was using this picture as a reference, just really zoomed in. I don't know how I just skipped across the actual picture of the Kagami no Naka no Koni no I don't know what no Alice picture. I just skipped it. I don't even know how. And instead I just went to the back page, which includes sewing patterns, and then I saw the actual picture and I was like, this is perfect. I don't know how, I just skipped the entire thing. But I found the picture so that you can see it in good quality. But just know, right? I had that really zoomed in picture, and when I really zoomed into that, the colors looked like really deeply rich and just very like dark and golden. So I had like this sort of almost horror theme sort of vibe going to it. And I thought that that fit perfectly with Miss Future, so I sort of tried doing that here as well. Like that inspired the whole idea, kind of, for the vibe that I was going for. Miss Future's story, or well, the whole like wait little mms. Yes, that's the short version of the name of the story, which is Who Am I to Love You, Little Miss Future. I know, short story name. The entire story has an already copper and purple color theme to it. If you didn't know, I usually give my stories like a specific color palette, and they all include purple. Yes, I know. That's like already a brand thing, okay? I'm not even a brand, and I still just use purple for everything. Might have an obsession, okay? So what? Let me be. You see Angel Kill, you see purple. I'm purple, don't you see my persona? So I'll be using those colors as the main palette here. Plus, like, in the really zoomed in picture, it was already sort of copperish and dark, so I thought that it would fit perfectly. I don't know how I got there, but I got there. You probably don't even know what this story is about now that I think about it. I'm just here talking about Little Miss Future as if you know her. You don't. Basically, in the midst of my insanity, I had a what-if moment and made up the story of this girl that's part of a band who ends up going back in time to save the frontman of a metal band from passing away because of his choices, if you get what I'm hinting at. The story takes place in the early 2000s. This girl works at a bar with some other girls that are part of her girl band, and they're all into rock, so they make this band and play shows in this bar that they work at on weekends, and they're really obsessed with this band called Iron Blood, because I just was thinking about periods at some point. We don't get into it. Okay, don't question it. Look, anemia and periods all go together, okay? And then the front man of this band passes away, and they're like, damn, their music was great too. Now then we're never getting that music back. And they just start gossiping on this man's life. And then she gets sent back in time. That's basically the premise of the story. She gets sent back in time with, like, some form of entity that's basically like the future itself, like time itself speaking to her, telling her to save him or something, and that it would grant her dreams to come true, whatever else was going on. Something along those lines. I don't even remember correctly. Something like that. I know, that's, you know. So as I'm remaking it, the principle is still the same, just everything else changed surrounding it. It's still the story of this girl that's part of a girl band that works at a bar that plays shows on the weekends. And they're all obsessed with this one band, and then the front man dies, and then Little Miss Future gets sent back in time, and Future itself still speaks to her and, like, grants her whatever dream she wishes, you know, whatever she wants, she will achieve that as long as she saves him. If not, something horrible happens. Either way, I do plan on making a whole video explaining what happened to the story overall, because it was something I was really passionate about. As I mentioned before, if you followed me back in 2023, you would have seen just how obsessed I was with the story, because despite 2023 being a rough year for me, I basically only drew that. Only at the end of the year, I'm pretty sure, is when I started drawing other characters, like my usual one, Selena. Even my persona I was drawing at that time, at the end of the year. But otherwise, I was just drawing Little Miss Future, pretty much. I might have done some other unrelated drawing to the Little Miss Future story here and there. I can remember one specific drawing of a previous version of the My Celestial Beings, specifically the Anthrophim one. But other than that, I don't remember much. Maybe there was like an MP3 one. Oh man, I miss my MP3 player. Stop. That's unrelated. Unrelated to the thing. I was drawing Little Miss Future a lot. I was planning the whole story a lot. And when we actually get to the 2023 sketchbooks in my sketchbook tour series, you will see that I drew them a lot. I drew comics of them in my sketchbooks. The idea was making a comic of the story too. Like, I had the whole script written out. But as I reread it, as I mentioned before, it was just so stale. These characters had nothing, okay? I need to work more on them, which is what I'm doing now, right? Either way. You can wait for that, I guess. Now, for the actual challenge itself, because I spoke pretty much about everything else other than that challenge, which you've seen going on in the back here, so you can see that as you listen to me rambling. I'm here to ramble just to give you company as you draw in your own sketchbooks, or as you're trying to sleep. I don't know why you would sleep listening to me, because I'm pretty loud, I think. Or not. I don't know, I surprise you. Sometimes I'm too loud, sometimes I'm not. Even though I use a compressor, okay? I compress my voice and still my voice comes out the way it comes out. Why am I rambling again? What's wrong with me? The challenge. I was able to find a brush to make the line art. I found a brush to detail the line art. I found a brush to put down the base colors. And using a mix of a lot of these brushes helped me render this whole illustration. There are certain splatter brushes, whether for paint or other liquids, we won't talk about which ones though, that if used on a very small size make for a great sharp lined brush, which honestly I'm still surprised by how well that works. It sort of makes me wonder if I should implement that into my usual illustration process. My issue with a lot of these textures was that they were all very soft. It was really tough getting some sharp edges in there, which I needed in a lot of cases, to not make the illustration look muddy and lost. There was one square brush that was really sharp, but it was really opaque and squared too, kinda too much. I used it though, but to blend certain parts out of that brush, I had to use some other ones, and so like, there was no specific brush in here that was just perfect by itself. I even used some speckle brushes in here to get a bit of a more interesting transition and gradient around in here that was pretty much what saved the whole thing. I think that it's a an interesting detail. It's fun. It's cool looking. It's like the surprising thing when you zoom in, which I hope you don't zoom into my drawings. It's a mess, okay? You can though if you want to see just the crazy brush strokes that I make. What brought me the biggest issue in this whole illustration was the background. Mostly because of me, it's my fault, because it was just very plain. My intention was for it to be like that, since the main focus is the character. At least that's what I intended at first, right? That's what was my idea, make the character the whole main focus thing, and just like adding some things here and there for the background, just to make it look more full, but not catch too much attention. Plus my idea was blurring it out later, so that it, doesn't catch the eye more than the character. But I should have probably added some more stuff in there to make it more interesting, because it just looks really plain, and I don't know if it really brings that much to the drawing itself. It sort of brings an almost cohesion to the color palette, so that the purples in the drawing itself don't look all that lost, which I do fix as well by adding some more purple shadows into the background itself. But it's just very plain and boring looking, if I have to admit. It doesn't really look all that great, okay? I could have done some more. Maybe I should have stuck more to the original part of the magazine itself. Honestly, using magazines as inspiration was really refreshing. It makes me want to print these magazines out to have a physical reference for whatever other illustrations that I do plan on making, and to study as well, because, well, other than being a sewist, seeing these designs helps a lot whenever you're creating a character, or, well, in my case, I don't really create... Well, can I say that I don't really create characters that often? If I do make a bunch of them, I can't, huh? But, like, using a lot of those for your actual characters as outfits, because, for example, Little Miss Future is supposed to be, like, a person who lives in Brooklyn. Well, she doesn't live in Brooklyn, she lives in Manhattan, but, goes to Brooklyn. She's supposed to be a person, right? So using fashion magazines of actual clothing would bring that thing more into the foreground, right? It makes the character look more real, because they're using outfits that you would find as well if they live in this world, right? Supposedly. Either way, it was fun, right? I feel like it would also help spark that Miss Future fire back, but, printing out a magazine would be very expensive, I'm sure, so maybe at some point. I spent the most time rendering the dress in this one, because the dress had just so many ruffles that I had to define and get right. Afterwards, the hair rendering brought this drawing pretty much together, and then the finishing touches made this thing look finished. And then I had to flatten the image, fix some values, fix some colors with grainy maps and color layer modes, chromatic aberration, noise, that stuff, It's nice to see Little Miss Future alive again, and I honestly have many things planned for her. I included both versions of this drawing, one with the bear hair accessory and one without, just because I think that without it, it's more Miss Future, but I had to draw that bear, okay? I could not, I have to admit. I feel like I've done both extremes of this challenge now, so I don't really know what to What? 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 What did I say? Oh god. I don't know what to tackle next. Brown brush only challenge? I wouldn't know. If you have an idea, you let me know in the comments. I hope you have a nice day or night, and I'll see you next time. Bye!